We both been teammates of Steven Adams, and he's different in a great way.
Yeah,
one of the best NBA personalities, and if you get a chance to know Steve-O, he's one of the best people in the world.
Like he stepped straight out of a high-budget action movie, no stunt double needed. Jimmy Butler once joked that getting clipped by one of Adams' screens felt like his whole life started replaying in slow motion. And that tracks, because Adams isn't just strong, he's built different. Like someone blended Krypton DNA with a New Zealand rugby locker room and said, yeah, this works. I just see somebody looking at him like he at the zoo. Even Zion Williamson, who's basically a walking bulldozer, admitted he thought he was powerful right up until he stood next to Adams. That moment reset his whole mindset. And then there's that clip, you've probably seen it. Adams literally lifts a 6'10", 240-pound center and walks him backward like he's carrying grocery bags for grandma. No rush, no struggle, just smooth, calm strength. That's what makes it wild. He doesn't flex, doesn't bark, doesn't hype it up. He just does it and keeps it moving. Around the league, Steven Adams is known as the quiet force. Not loud, not flashy, just pure presence. At 32 years old, he looks like a real-life movie villain, but he moves with that boss-level calm, the kind that says, you really don't want to find out. Honestly, he's Aquaman with a basketball, always protecting the squad. When things get heated and Adams steps in, the whole energy shifts. One step forward, one look, and suddenly everyone cools off. It's like someone turned the thermostat way down. I got punched and now I'm the ass. Nobody's trying to catch smoke from those massive hands. Now, deep into his 9th NBA season, Adams feels like he's been holding down the paint forever. Sure, the box score says around 9 points and 8 boards, but that barely tells the story. He's the muscle, the shield, the reason his teammates get clean looks without worrying about chaos. And with over $111 million earned, he's proof that respect and fear can live in the same space. But the stories about Steven Adams show there's way more under the surface. So before anything else, we've got to break down 2 things. What makes his strength so legendary that even superstars can't stop talking about it? And how does that calm, grounded personality turn him into one of the most respected enforcers in the league? Paul George once kept it real about his first impression of Big Steve. When he played against Adams, he thought he was dealing with some arrogant, problem king giant who lived for chaos. PG figured Adams wanted smoke every single possession, but once George got to Oklahoma City and actually met him, that whole image collapsed. Steven Adams turned out to be one of the most laid-back, funny, and genuine dudes in the league, the complete opposite of what anyone expected. Yeah, Steven Adams loves mixing it up in the paint, but that edge comes from how he plays, not from wanting drama. On the court, he looks like a nightclub bouncer who's one bad moment away from tossing someone out. Off the court, total opposite. He's the gentle giant, the peacekeeper, the guy who shuts chaos down before it even gets started, just by standing there with that calm, unbothered energy. He barely talks in public, but people still drift toward him naturally. That quiet confidence hits harder than trash talk ever could. And to really understand how private he is, Adams hasn't tweeted since last summer. That's it. No noise, no opinions, just living life. Steven Adams was born in Rotorua, New Zealand, and grew up in a massive family, 17 siblings deep.
I didn't know who you were when you first got here, but you made me realize with the screens you set in practice, to elbow me when I come down the lane, you let your presence be known, man, and you're just such a fun, spirited person, and never change who you are, man, because you mean a lot to me.
One brother stood around 6'9", and most of his sisters were close to 6 feet like it was nothing. Still, growing up wasn't easy. His older brother stayed on him non-stop, pushing him hard, sometimes too hard, leaving young Steven overwhelmed. I didn't know who you were when you first got here, but you made me realize with the screens you set in practice, the elbow me when I come down the lane. You let your presence be known, man. He's just such a fun, spirited person, and never change who you are, man, 'cause you mean a lot to me. Things shifted when his father stepped in, a serious, commanding man who stood 6'11" himself and was already in his 60s when Steven was born. When Steven was just 13, his father passed away. That loss hit deep. After that, he drifted from school and started hanging around the wrong crowds, brushing close to members of the mongrel mob gang. He never joined. And now, and that's huge, you guys know what Steven Adams do in the off-season. Catch. That's a good, great name. Steven Adams goes hunting for wild hogs in New Zealand with a knife, right? This big old machine. Nah, get out of here, man. No lie. With no shoes on. His older brother, Warren, a New Zealand national team player, stepped in at the perfect time. Warren saw the raw potential and helped Steven turn that anger and pain into focus. Basketball became the outlet. By 15, Adams was already 6'5" and locked in. No shortcuts, no excuses. He lived in the gym, grinding non-stop, sharpening every part of his game. That work opened the door to the U.S., landing him at the University of Pittsburgh under coach Jamie Dixon, who trusted his talent and saw the long-term vision. What's wild is when Adams reached the NBA, he wasn't starstruck at all. He admitted he barely even knew most of the players. The league wasn't some childhood fantasy, it was just the next job, the next grind. And here's the twist. The strongest athlete in the Adams family might not even be Steven. His sister, Valerie Adams, is an Olympic legend, two-time gold medalist in shot put for New Zealand, 6'4", 265 pounds, pure power. After just one season at Pitt, averaging 7 points and 6 rebounds, scouts couldn't ignore it anymore. That massive, raw frame wasn't just potential, it was inevitable. The Oklahoma City Thunder picked up Steven Adams with the 12th overall pick, part of that massive James Harden trade. And at the time, nobody really knew what they were getting, a giant out of New Zealand. Quiet, no hype, total mystery. Adams started off as a backup big, keeping his head down and learning the league the hard way. But it didn't take long before people noticed something different. Even Kevin Durant had to speak up. Talking to the then 20-year-old rookie, KD said, "Big Kiwi, I didn't even know who you were when you got here, but those screens in practice, those elbows when I drove, you made your presence felt. And you're such a fun-spirited dude. Like, I thought I was strong, but you know, seeing it up close, like on the same team now, man, it's crazy. Like, Steven is really strong, and he's a great basketball player." That was the moment it clicked. Adams wasn't just another rookie body, he was built for impact. With his clean-cut look and calm mindset, Adams leveled up every single season. By 2019, he had fully grown into the perfect role player, the kind every locker room needs. No highlight chasing, no stat padding, just pure work. He set punishing screens, vacuumed rebounds, protected space, and made life easier for everyone around him. He knew his lane and stayed in it. No ego, no noise, just results. And then there were the toughness stories, the ones that turned into legend. During Thunder practices, coaches would straight up test him, sneak up during drills, fire surprise punches into his stomach just to see if he'd react. Adams didn't flinch, didn't blink, didn't even breathe different, like hitting a brick wall. Sure, his free throw percentage hovered around 55%, but that never slowed him down. He kept grinding, kept improving, kept showing up the same way every night. Even Kendrick Perkins had his own wild story. He talked about how Adams goes hunting wild hogs back in New Zealand, barefoot with nothing but a knife, no gear, no shoes, just straight survival mode. That's not normal NBA behavior, that's movie stuff. And Jimmy Butler, one of the most intense competitors in the league, he once stopped mid-story just to talk about Steven Adams' strength. Couldn't even finish his own point. That's the effect Adams has on the court, off the court, even in the wild. Calm, fearless, and way tougher than anyone wants to test. Jimmy Butler literally went off script in the middle of an interview just to talk about how ridiculously strong Steven Adams is. And the tone said everything. No jokes, no exaggeration. Butler straight up said, "He hit me with one screen today and I thought my life was over. He's like from Krypton or something. Seriously, he's strong." That one line said it all. Because when Jimmy Butler, a guy built on grind, toughness, and zero excuses, starts handing out public respect like that, you know it's real. Butler doesn't gas people up unless he means every word. And honestly, Jimmy should consider himself lucky because not everyone walked away clean. Back in the 2017 playoffs, Patrick Beverley ran straight into Steven Adams and let out a scream so loud the entire scorer's table snapped their heads around, eyes wide, mouths open, like they'd just seen someone bounce off a superhero. And this is Patrick Beverley, one of the grittiest defenders in the league. He tried to play it off, but everyone in the building knew that one hurt. Then there's the Chris Middleton clip. Adams literally tossed him aside like, "Nah, not today," and kept moving like he brushed past a kid at the park. Or that nasty dunk on LeBron, one most people somehow still haven't seen, but the ones who have, they remember it. Adams doesn't scream, flax, or celebrate. He lets the moment speak for him. There was also that heated exchange between Chris Dunn and Russell Westbrook. Things were escalating fast until Adams stepped in. He calmly pushed Dunn back, said nothing, and the whole situation died instantly. No drama, just control. Same thing when Jeremy Grant and Robin Lopez started jawing. Adams walked over, stood between them, and shut it down like flipping a switch. Around the league, everyone knows the rule. Don't test Steven Adams. He's loyal, he's calm, and he always protects his teammates. He barely argues with refs, avoids drama, and still commands serious respect everywhere he goes. That mix of quiet energy and raw power makes him one of the most feared and most respected players in the game. And this wasn't something he grew into, it showed up early. In one of his first NBA games, two smaller Dallas players tried going at him. Then Vince Carter caught him with a sharp elbow. Adams didn't react, no flinch, no words, just that cold, unbothered stare. That was the moment people realized this dude is built different. Then came that moment with DeMarcus Cousins. Boogie lost his cool for half a second and stepped up like he was ready to let it fly. But right before it crossed the line, he stopped himself because deep down he knew what everybody else already knew. Swinging on Steven Adams would have been a horrible choice.
If that punch landed, it might have gone down as one of the worst decisions of Cousins' entire career. Adams didn't react, didn't blink, didn't move. He just stood there, calm, solid, unbothered, like a steel wall that doesn't feel impact. Guys can run at Adams full speed and it still looks like they're bouncing off concrete. Around the league, players joke that he doesn't even lift weights. He lifts teammates just to warm up. And honestly, nobody laughs too hard because it sounds believable. There was a hilarious moment with Chris Paul. CP3 spun around after a play, clearly ready to get in someone's face. But the second he realized Steven Adams was standing right there, his whole energy flipped. He froze, calmed down, acted like nothing ever happened, situation over. And then there's Isaiah Thomas. 5'9", full speed, no warning, he ran straight into Adams and dropped instantly as like he'd hit a steel beam. Adams didn't move an inch, no stumble, no reaction, just standing there. That's the kind of quiet power that makes the entire league think twice before stepping up. Running into Steven Adams isn't a collision, it's a lesson. And that same force showed up again in the 2018 playoffs against the Jazz. Things got tense when Jay Crowder squared up with Carmelo Anthony. Before it could explode, Adams stepped in, and the way he casually moved the 6'6" Crowder out of the way had the whole arena stunned. It didn't even look real. It looked like a superhero separating regular humans. Even Zion Williamson had to admit the truth once he saw Adams up close. Zion said, "Man, Steven is strong. I thought I was strong, but seeing it up close, like being on the same team now, it's crazy. Steven is really strong." And that hits different coming from Zion, a guy built like a tank. The league expected Zion to overpower everyone. Even he wasn't ready for that level. And then came the wildest one. Late fourth quarter against the Bulls, Ja Morant got tangled up with Tony Bradley, a 6'10", 248-pound center. Tension rising, voices loud, and right on time, Adams showed up like a one-man security squad. Without rushing, without effort, he scooped Bradley up and walked him backward like he was carrying groceries. The second Adams locked him up, the moment was done. Nobody argued, nobody moved. Because when Steven Adams steps in, everyone understands the same thing. This is not the situation to test. Over the years, Steven Adams has gone from that clean-cut rookie with short hair and a quiet smile to a full-on enforcer with long hair, tattoos, and that rugged warrior look. And honestly, it fits him perfectly. His appearance finally matches his game. Strong, fearless, and completely unmovable. It feels like this was always his role, and he just grew into it naturally. Even his own teammates feel it. Jaren Jackson Jr., who's 6'11" and around 240 pounds himself, once admitted that Adams picked him up like it was nothing. Jaren laughed about it and basically said, "Yeah, they're strong, and then there's Steven Adams strong." That's coming from another 7-footer. When players talk about Adams, they all describe the same feeling, like being 7 years old again. Small, helpless, completely outmatched. And these are grown men playing at the highest level of basketball on the planet. Hearing NBA stars openly admit that getting hit by Steven Adams makes them feel powerless is wild. So here's the real question. Is Steven Adams the strongest player in NBA history? When you've got guys like Jimmy Butler, Zion Williamson, and Duncan Robinson all saying he's built on a different level, it makes you stop and think, has anyone ever really matched that kind of raw power? We've seen legends from past eras known for strength and size, absolute monsters, but drop them into today's game? Could any of them really go toe-to-toe with Adams in his prime? Let me know what you think. Drop your answer in the comments and let's settle this, because this debate isn't just about muscles, it's about pure physical dominance versus everything else. And if you think Steven Adams is the strongest human to ever play basketball, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Ball Stories. We've got more deep dives coming on the most unique, underrated, and unstoppable players in NBA history. Peace.